hold these events every third month as a way of our members to get together, get inspired by a guest speaker, engage in Q&A, and fill their leadership cup on a regular basis. For those who are attending the first time, I'm sure some of you are. Let me give you a brief background about PLC and what you stand to gain by simply being part of this group. PLC is actually, or Philippine Leadership Collective, is a community of leaders across the Philippines dedicated to growth, collaboration, and well-being. We are redefining leadership by focusing not just on the skills, but sustaining the well-being and balance of those and well-balance of those who lead. By joining PLC, you can get insights, gain support, and have your own share of filling the cup, just like this one, of your leadership journey with free events, resources, and meet peers aimed at enhancing both the strategic impact and personal developments. What you would gain here is quite different from the leadership track that you get at work, but rather have the safe space for support and connection. As they say, it is lonely at the top. But for me, it's also about building the next generation of leaders and support my advocacy of paying it forward. Paying it forward as thanking my previous leaders and mentors who have been part of my leadership journey and to be where I am today. So for today, we have an awesome guest speaker. Personally know her too. Very apt is because March is a Women's Month, for those who don't know. And she will give a talk on her leadership or her own leadership journey, followed by some live Q&A. And then we will wrap up with the event with a great raffle prize. So please stay tuned until the end. So, all right. So to get started, let me introduce our guest speaker today. Mitch Cabigon, or Mitch, is a certified public accountant and the Chief Information Officer of SN Aboitiz Power Group. She's also a part-time professor at UP Diliman's Technology Management Center. Mitch is also a certified health and life coach who is driven by a passion to help individuals achieve holistic living and co-author of the book, Our Hearts and Minds Together, a practical handbook in emotional intelligence. Very good background, huh? And very, very diverse background. Aside from that, she just came from a 16-kilometer run from yesterday at 4 a.m. in the morning, but still has the energy to go to work today and meet you up guys here. Pardon her voice, but I think she got some chills yesterday, but she's very raring to share this with you and a very engaging talk at that. So let's see some clap emoticons, emojis, please, and give our speaker, Mitch, a warm PLC welcome. Mitch, go ahead. Floor is yours.
Thank you, Miss Ai. So good evening, everyone. And thank you for giving me this opportunity as well to share my leadership story. So I really want to honor your precious time, and I promise to make every minute count. Okay, let's start. So imagine that you are standing at the edge of a vast, uncharted landscape. That's how leadership often feels, a journey into the unknown, and it's a constant evolution. Tonight, I'm not here to give you a lecture, but to share a map, or let's say a compass, and a few hard-won lessons from my own expedition. Let's talk about where I exert my leadership influence. It's not just one thing. It's a whole collection of roles and connections. First and foremost, it starts with leading myself. I'm a long-distance runner, and that's a huge part of how I cultivate discipline and resilience and the ability to push my own boundaries. That personal leadership is actually the foundation for everything else. Then there's my family. So I'm a single mother. I've had to navigate the ever-evolving landscape of parenting. Leading within a family is a dynamic process, and I've learned to adapt my style as my son has grown. It's a leadership journey in itself. Of course, there's my professional team. As the SNAP CIO, I lead a team of highly technical individuals, and it's a privilege to guide and support them, and I'm constantly learning from their expertise. We work together to deliver real value to our organization. And of course, beyond my direct team, I also have a broader SNAP Management Committee team. These are the senior leaders. They play a vital role in my professional growth. I'm also passionate about education, and I extend my leadership through teaching. So this is just one of the pictures from one of my classes. So like Ms. I have mentioned, I'm an adjunct professor, and I love sharing my knowledge with aspiring technology managers. And it's incredibly rewarding to see students learn and grow. And finally, I try to expand my influence through coaching and speaking engagements like this one. Whether it's mentoring company scholars or sharing our experiences at industry events, I believe in playing it forward and really helping others on their leadership journeys, constantly seeking new ways uh, and to make a positive impact. Okay, let's get to the heart of my story. I've been managing teams for over 25 years. So, matanda na po ako. Ay, hindi pa naman. Matured lang, matured. And that's a long time already. And here's the thing, it wasn't until 2018, so it was quite recently lang, no, that I really, really started to understand what effective leadership meant. You might be wondering what happened in 2018. So please hold that thought for a while. To get the full picture, let's rewind a bit. I actually joined as an Aboitiz Power in 2011. I joined as a financial controller, so I'm an accountant by profession. And the first time I joined as an Aboitiz, and I know that I'm stepping into a renewable energy sector, and it was just thrilling. So honestly, I still remember the first day, and I even joked that starting on Valentine's Day, yes, I started in as an Aboitiz Power on February 14th, 2011. It felt like falling into a really committed relationship. Back then, simple lang ang IT. IT was pretty straightforward. So part of my role as a financial controller, there's a and IT part there. And IT, again, it was mostly focused on getting people online and set up their laptops. So that's just the simple stuff that we were doing then. But as time went on, I was assigned to other roles. I got to dive into strategy, risk management, and all sorts of cool programs. Then, with the rise of digital transformation and all that, management actually decided to create the Chief Information Officer office. And guess who got tapped on the job? It's me. Honestly, becoming a CIO was one of the greatest leaps in my career and definitely the most challenging. I got so excited and, excited, and I, I, I actually, I just want to say excited for the position because, I get to create our digital and data transformation roadmap. And I even had to juggle my master's degree in technology management on the side when in 2017. I was so sure that what I needed to do. I was so driven. I was so passionate, and but things didn't go as smoothly as I hoped. I remember I missed deadlines. Some projects didn't pan out. We had team members leaving, and well, let's just say even our internal customers weren't exactly happy with our performance. That's when I really started to question myself. Am I really cut out for this? Am I really competent enough to be CIO? But here's where I got really lucky. I had a fantastic leader in Snap, Joseph Yu. So I had to, hi, Joseph. He actually created an environment where I could grow. And in Snap, they really invest in people. They provide programs to help us develop as leaders. In 2018, so I mentioned that it was in 2018 that Snap offered me this leadership circle. It's called a 360-degree feedback, and it provides coaching as well. So I think I'm really I could say I'm blessed that I was able to experience that. Basically, it's where people you work with, your team, your peers, or even your boss will give you honest feedback about your leadership style. And well, let's just say that the results are eye-opening. They pretty much confirm that what I was already feeling, that things weren't going as smoothly as they should. The big key takeaway, apparently, based on the results of the survey, I was a reactive leader. And my leadership effectiveness, just 10%. 10%. Can you believe it? I mean, talk about a wake-up call. I remember thinking, wow, I've got a long way to go to improve my leadership effectiveness. And the feedback, it wasn't sugar-coated. It was honest, and it was exactly what I needed as well. Let me share a few of the comments I got. The survey asked, what's this person's biggest leadership challenge and how can they improve? And here's what they said. That's me. She needs to really understand where people are coming from, their limitations before pushing them. So, wow, I was a pushy leader. Another feedback was getting new projects accepted is a challenge. She needs to involve everyone earlier in the process. So there is a capability aspect that I'm not able to uh, really manage the projects that I had then. Another feedback was managing difficult team members is tough for her. And then there's another feedback like she's great at strategy. So there's the good part, but there's a but not so great at building the team to make it happen. There's another feedback, and it said she doesn't see her style affects her team. People like her outside of work, but as a leader, but not as a leader. The turnover shows that. So there were people resigning from my team. And then there's another feedback. She needs to listen more. She needs to engage with her team better, or she needs to be more confident and assertive. So these are the verbatim feedback that I got. Basically, it was a list of all the things I was doing wrong. It was actually tough to read. Nakakaiyak. Nakakaiyak pala pag ngayon I just read them, and it was exactly what I needed to hear. Honestly, when I first read that feedback, it hit me hard. Grabe, it even hit me hard now. Like really hard, I won't lie. And I even cried. It stung, but sometimes you need that to to really see yourself. So I took it seriously. I spent a lot of time reflecting. And that's when my journey to self-awareness really began. Sorry, I just got emotional as well. Even it was ano na, no, past now, but I still get emotional. I started paying attention to how I interacted with my team then. And oh boy, did I see some of the things I didn't like. I realized I had this terrible habit of cutting people off, not really listening. I was rude. No wonder my team was disengaged. I was so laser focused on getting things done that I completely missed checking in on my team's actual capabilities. I was pushing them without really seeing They had the tools to succeed. And it wasn't just at work. I started noticing the bad habits creeping into all areas of my life. Then the pandemic hit and everything just fell apart. I was completely lost. My eating habits went out the window. I gained weight. After work, I was glued to Netflix. I wasn't sleeping enough. Looking at the mirror, I just saw someone I didn't recognize. I hated how I felt, how I looked, and I just didn't like the person I was becoming. I didn't know how to fix it. I was just lost. So I prayed. I prayed a lot. I became so vulnerable. I even get so emotional and cry during my one-on-one with my boss. And I hated that. I hated the feeling. I hated that feeling, so emotional. At work, imposter syndrome was kicking in big time. I'm I'm hearing I constantly ask myself, and I'm hearing this voices in my head like, do I really know what I'm doing? Am I really qualified for this? I seriously, and just between you and me, don't tell anyone. I seriously thought about resigning more than once. And just between us, I even drafted my resignation letter. Please, Miss I, don't tell anyone. Okay. But even with all those doubts, I'm just glad I found the strength to keep going. Even when I was scared, even when I felt completely vulnerable. And I have this belief that God sends messages to us through events, through people, and through everyday things. And I knew somehow I'd find my way. As you know, it's like my prayers were answered. During the pandemic in 2020, my high school batch decided to have a virtual reunion. And since I was one who got everyone started on Zoom, I ended up being the tech coordinator for the whole thing. That's when I reconnected with my classmate Carmen. He was a batchmate, a high school batchmate. And get this, she'd become a life coach. I had no idea. So when she reached out and asked if I'd be interested in a discovery session, I was like, absolutely. It felt like it was meant to be. And it felt like the universe was sending her my way. You know the saying, when the student is ready, the teacher shall appear. That exactly how it felt and what I always believe. I was at that point where I was completely lost. I was questioning everything and I was desperately searching for answers. And then there she was, someone who could help me navigate this mess. It's like sometimes we have to hit rock bottom before we're truly open to learning and growing. I wasn't ready before. I was too wrapped up in my own ego, too convinced I had it all figured out. But the feedback, the struggles, the pandemic, they all forced me to confront my limitations. And when I finally admitted I needed help, the help showed up. And it's a powerful thing. When you're truly ready, the right people, the right opportunities, they just seem to find you. So here's the thing. I knew I needed a change, but I didn't know how. I mean, change for the better sounds great, but what does that actually look like? That's when I realized I needed to get crystal clear on who I wanted to be. Sometime in 2020, I sat down and wrote it out. I said, and I wrote this on the present tense. I want to be an inspiring CIO, leader, mentor, coach, and teacher. And then I got really specific. I wrote down what I actually meant. I wrote I wrote it on the present tense, and these are some of the lines that I wrote. As a CIO and leader, I constantly initiate meaningful conversations with each of my team members and effectively coach them to become better versions of themselves. I inspire them to initiate in doing the right thing without having to be told. I help people feel purposeful, motivated, and energized so they can bring their best selves to work. They are all engaged and innovative. I facilitate and bring out the best in them. As an educator, I am very effective and inspiring teacher in Master of Technology Management. I inspire them to be better technology managers to help their respective companies and in nation building. I am healthy and strong, and people are inspired by how I keep my body sexy and full of energy. So that's what I wrote. Basically, I created this vision for myself, this ideal version of what I wanted to be. And then Carmen, my coach, helped me to figure out how to actually get there. We started looking at how I was taking care of myself. So we started working on new habits. And these are the things I consciously do now. Being kind to myself. Before, it's like I I beat myself up. Like I tell bad things about myself. Like, wow, Mitch, come on. You're so okay. I can't say that to myself now, but now I talk to myself like I talk to my best friend. And I honor my commitments to myself now. Like I eat, I'm eating right, I'm sleeping right, and I do my morning runs. These are non-negotiable now. It sets the tone for my whole day. And I start building strong relationships with my team. And now I seek feedback. I've learned that feedback is a gift. So during my one-on-one with my team, my direct reports, I normally ask them, what do you think I can do better? It was scary at first, but now it's just natural for me. It requires creating a safe space for them to be honest. I also have an accountability partner. In fact, one of my direct reports is my accountability partner. After each meeting, I would ask that person to tell me the truth about what they think. If there's something I've said that I need to improve, and even if it's hard to hear, I would really listen. And I was able to go to really start controlling my ego and embracing vulnerability, like what I'm doing now. Like sharing this story with you tonight is really embracing vulnerability. And I now constantly seek mentors and constantly expanding my network, especially in IT where I'm not a hardcore techie. I learn from expert, I attend workshops, and I stay curious. The biggest thing I've learned, I've got to take action. I can't just think about change. I have to consistently do it. As bad habits are very hard to break, cultivating new habits requires significant time and consistent effort. It takes time, a lot of time, and a whole lot of consistent effort to replace bad habits with new ones. And honestly, I still slip up sometimes. I'm not going to pretend I'm perfect, but I've learned that it's okay. I just have to dust myself and start again and again and again. Because here's the truth, resilience is key. We are all going to face setbacks and we are all going to have doubts, but we have to keep going. We have to persevere. I'd love to see another 360-degree feedback now, just to see how far I've come. Unfortunately, we don't have that program again now, but maybe we can have it again in the future. But honestly, I think the results speak for themselves now. We've seen a real shift. My team started getting recognized with innovation awards, engagement is sky high, turnover is low, and we're consistently hitting our targets and going beyond. Like what Craig Groeschel, he's one of my favorite to listen. I listened to his leadership podcast, and he would say, "When the leader gets better, everyone wins." I can validate that this is very, very true. Of course, it's just not me. I have to give a shout out to my team and our strategic partners. We've made huge strides in digital transformation and data science, and it wouldn't have been possible without them. I also couldn't have done it without the support of my life coach, my mentors, my accountability partners, and my amazing colleagues at Snap. Their encouragement have been absolutely crucial. They've not only helped me grow, but they've reminded me of the power of collaboration and community. We're all in this together and we rise by lifting each other up. The support I've received, especially from the management committee, have not only helped me grow, it has also instilled this deep desire in me to lift others up. Because that's what leadership is all about, right? Creating a cycle of encouragement where we all could rise together. Today, I still face fear, but I've learned to embrace vulnerability and resilience. I've learned that true leadership is not about perfection. It's about progress. The core principle is self-management. So here's the thing that I've really come to understand. You can't really lead others effectively until you learn to lead yourself. It's like if you can't get your own house in order, how can you help someone else's organize theirs? And that means a few things, right? For example, you've got to be able to celebrate your own wins. Your own wins. Celebrate your own wins. Give yourself a pat on the back because if you can't recognize your own accomplishments, how are you going to genuinely celebrate the wins of your team? It just doesn't work. And self-care, that's huge. You can't tell your team to take care of themselves if you're running on empty. You've got to be the example. You've got to show them that it's okay and even necessary to prioritize your well-being. Look, I'm not going to pretend I've got it all figured out. I still have moments of fear, those little whispers of imposter syndrome. But I've learned that it's up to me. It's up to me to overcome those challenges. How did I do it? Well, I committed to self improvement. I took my leadership training seriously and I constantly sought for mentors and I leaned on my colleagues for support. And that's what gave me the confidence to lead my team and to guide them towards our goals. My story is a testament to the power of self awareness, the courage to change, and the unwavering belief of human potential. It's about evolving from a manager to a leader, from a leader to an inspiration. The Chief Inspiration Officer, that's the ultimate goal, not a title, but a state of being. It's about igniting the spark in others, empowering them to shine their brightest. You may judge how far I've come based on what I've shared with you tonight, but I know I'm on the right path. And I invite you to join me to embark on your own journey of conscious leadership to become the chief inspiration officers the world so desperately needs. Because leadership isn't about power, it's about purpose. It's about leaving a legacy of inspiration. And as Nelson Mandela said, it always seems impossible until it's done. So let's make the impossible possible. Let's inspire, empower, and transform. Back to you, Miss I.
Wow, Mitch, that was very, very touching. Some of it I've known you for some time. Well, as you know, some of you might know, Mitch and I also we work together. And the only women in our leadership team at that. So thank you, Mitch, for indulging the for our Women's Month. But I some of it I don't know, and these are some of it are I'm actually hearing it for the first time. So thank you, Mitch, for a very, very enlightening talk. And for our other leaders here or upcoming leaders, know that you are also not alone. That there are hiccups along the way that you would encounter, but what's important is being resilient and valuing your leadership journey. Here are some of the ones that I've gotten also from what you've shared. For those, especially for those who just dialed in now or came in a little late, aside from sharing your leadership journey, that feedback is a gift. Sometimes it's really tough. You have to create good habits and commit to change for the better. Engage in meaningful conversations to become better versions of themselves so that you can also help others, especially your direct reports. And you create a vision. I think this is one of the ones that struck me, Mitch. Creating a vision of yourself, an ideal vision of yourself, and you have to work on your vision, where you want it to be. So for the leaders out there who's starting, or even who have already been leaders for quite some time, I think this is something that you need to do also. And it's not leadership is not a profession, but it's a progress. And our core principle as leaders is actually self leadership. You cannot lead without leading yourself better. How can you give something that you don't have? And at the same time, make sure that you celebrate your wins and do some self-care too. All right. So some of the takeaways. If you have time
I
to,
think
it's
we have
time
a
for
question
us
on the
to
chat
open a question
box.
and answer. Yeah, let's
Yeah.
see. Do we have a question? All right. Okay, so here, Pat. Hello, Pat. As a leader, how do you cultivate a safe space environment where people can be open and honest about where they are at work? Good question, Pat. So,
Yeah.
Mitch.
Yes. Okay. Thanks, Pat. So I will just share, about how I do it with my team. So it can be you can be creative actually, but I think the first thing that you need to do is you have to be open as well. My team knows when I do have that we actually have weekly huddles. My team knows about my struggles as well, so I'm open to that, so that they will also start opening up how they are. And in my one-on-ones with my direct reports, and even during my coaching sessions, and I want to share this with you as well. I always start with how they are, what we can celebrate together. Like instead of just asking a question, "Kumusta ka?" So instead of "Ja, kumusta ka?" I would start my one-on-ones with, "Okay," uh, with the name, like for example, Joel. "Okay, Joel, um, what are you thankful for? What can we celebrate? What is there, or how was your week? What For sure there are things big and small that we can celebrate." So instead of just asking how you are, start by celebrating the wins. And then after that, you've got to really sometimes you've got to slowly build the trust. Once you have that trust, and once you open up your vulnerability, they will also start opening up their own vulnerabilities. And it requires as well that you have to hold your judgment. So that's one of the things that I actually start doing. Like when we have discussions, it has to be a judgment-free zone. Like, hold your judgment, just listen, and just continue to ask questions and clarify. So before, I was so judgmental, critical, but I've learned this during the coaching sessions, that I have to learn to hold any judgment and just really listen. So I hope, Pat, I was able to answer your question and you were able to get some ideas on how to make sure you are able to provide a safe space for your team.
Thank you so much, Ms. Mitch. It's such an honor to hear from you.
Nice seeing you also here, Pat. Thanks for your question. All right. So we have another one. I think it's coming from after Pat. We have Tim. Tim is asking what books or podcasts, Mitch, you like reading and hearing podcasts about leadership and personal growth would you recommend?
Yeah. So I'm so fond. So even before, prior to the podcasts, I'm so fond of John Maxwell. And now I'm also I listen mostly to Craig Rochelle. So I actually mentioned it, no? He would always end his podcast, when the leader gets better, everybody wins. So I always it's always in my head. That's why I grow myself every day. And for John Maxwell, he would always say, continuously make sure to always add value to people. Like every time you meet a person, uh just think of adding value. How can you add value to that person? So actually, when I was invited to speak tonight, that's my mindset. Like, I couldn't say no, because I know this is an opportunity for me to add value to people. So I hope I was able to add value to you guys.
Of course, of course. I hope you guys had learned from this too. But there's more questions, Mitch, coming in. There's a one from Sean. If you could go back and change anything about your leadership journey, what would it be? So this is an interesting one.
Yeah. I should co- I should have gotten a coach and mentor earlier. I think before so I I'm only sharing with you my leadership journey when I'm in Snap. But prior to that, I've had several life experiences that, somehow I have these baggages that I couldn't give up. And that actually hinders me to seeking coaching, like or mentoring as well. So if I have to go back, I would really get a coach and a mentor. So soonest. So if you don't have a mentor or a coach right now, seek one.
All right. So actually, that would be very, very valuable. If you don't know anyone or would like to, you're very interested or you like what Mitch has said earlier, you can also reach out to her. Mitch, ipa-plug na kita, ha?
Yes.
Because she's also a life coach, a health, not just a life coach, no, a professional coach, but she can also help you out on the health aspect too. So she's also a health and wellness coach. So a lot of people in the office, she's like my extended HR in the office because she would willingly extend the help to you guys. All right, I have one more question for Nanette. Um, what can be a good approach when you are meeting your working team for the first time?
Oh, nice. So you must be a new leader, Nanette. So congratulations if you are. Okay. So um, I would like to say that this wasn't me, I wasn't able to do this when I first met my team in Snap. But I would like to share how our COO, for the first time when he took office as a COO, did. He actually, he actually introduced himself, his paano siya lumaki, and probably I would like to say that you can also add your experience, your leadership style. I think it's also good that they will know what are your values, what are your expectations, and so that you have to start introducing yourself so they can also start introducing them. So make sure that you also listen to them. You also ask them about their life. I know it's a journey, you can't get everyone to talk about their life, and even get to really build your relationship, especially if you're a new leader. It takes time, but just stay. To me, I think authenticity is actually no critical. Be authentic, uh, be real, uh, because sabi din ni Craig Rochelle, ano? So people actually follow a real leader instead of they don't follow a leader who's always right, but a leader that is real. So just stay authentic. Be authentic in your leadership.
Be authentic and be real daw, Nanette. And
Oh,
have the
thank you.
icebreaker, especially for new ones. Yeah, welcome,
Thank
Nanette.
you.
Yeah. And then we have one from Ross. Question, in every team, akin ba to, Ross? I think kay Mitch to better kasi she would have her own share of this. In every team, there are performers, Mitch, and non-performers. And as a leader, you tend to favor the performers who get the job done. This creates some issues in the team dynamics, but how do you go about this?
Yeah. So, okay. Um, um, this is a very good question. Yeah, it's so hard to, this is one of the challenges of being a leader. So you have to be able to manage the performers and the non-performers. So I have several experience that I had to make a call. Okay. But before that, I would like to say that um, sometimes the non-performers or non-performance in itself is not actually because of the person. I think 95% of the time it's actually, and I teach this, it's actually it can be the system or the process. So when there's a non-performance, you have to look into the systems and process first, because according to research, 95% of the time, it's the system, 5% lang yung tao. Now, why I'm saying that? So once you looked into the process or the systems, or maybe you just there's really a need to review uh or provide a tool, or maybe you need to, if that's a new employee, you need to provide the right training. But after working on the process, kung talagang problema pa rin yung tao, so maybe there's the 5% naman. And that 5%, as a leader, sometimes you have to make a hard call. So that person may not be fit to the position, or may be better off you can suggest that that person may be better off for to lead another, or to work in another team. Or sometimes you just really have to, maybe that person is not right for the organization. So you will really have to have that to take that hard call. So I've experienced that as well, because I also cannot I cannot allow that person to ruin the motivation of the performers in my team. So I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, Ross, all good?
So make
Yes,
sure
thank
as well,
you.
no, I just want to remind as well that there's a process for that, an HR process for that. So make sure that you actually, I think you need to make sure you document the when you do the process. We have a PIP, process improvement plan, and you have to make sure that you have done everything, and you have documented everything. And if at the end of the day the person is still not performing, then you have to make a hard call. Okay.
That's where the tough love kicks in, no, Mitch,
Yes.
after everything else. And then we have a question from Roy, from a different industry. How do you stay positive and keep others motivated when things don't go as planned? Good question, Mitch. I think ikaw talaga
Yeah.
makasagot nito.
Yeah, yeah, good question. Before, when I was not an inspired leader, okay. So I would also I felt like I was I was adding to the problem, okay. But right now, you will really have to take accountability. So now I first I if it's a project, for example, if it's a project that's not going well, I take accountability, uh, and make sure that we discuss with my team and learn from it. Okay. So to me, it's really not, it's about how you guys are being able to collaborate and find ways to make sure you are able to resolve the problem. So and that's part of that's part of the collaboration that we need to have. And there is an escalation process as well. So there's I always tell this to my team, like, make sure that even if you don't know the answers yet, if you are able to identify a problem, make sure that you are able to escalate it to me. Like, you don't have to have the solution yet, but you have to be able to escalate it to me. So, or we can, so I would know that you are doing something about it, or I can probably give some insights on what to do about it. We can collaborate, we can brainstorm on the solution. So I think that's the most important thing that we need to also make sure that our team members are not afraid to raise problems. So again, babalik ako doon sa make sure that uh, be a model of a safe space by not being critical, by not being judgmental. So when an issue is being raised, listen to it. Okay, listen to the issue, not the messenger. Okay, and try to make sure that you are able to discuss about the problem. And yeah, you will really have to be and more, because like me, once I know the problem is there, so I have to make a call as well to ensure that I'm able to properly escalate it if needed, to because I have an IT committee as well, so I have to be able to escalate it to top management as well. So I hope I was able to answer your question.
Yes, thank you. Thanks so much, Miss Mitch.
Yeah. Yan. And tama, no? Roy, uso ngayon, no? Yung, it's very talk of for this generation now is creating that safe space, no? Very important to our teams, or creating that safe space. So take note for the Gen Xers like me, that they're really really upcoming, kumaga, common denominator for the younger generation is creating that safe space that we need to encourage. All right.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks, Roy, for that interesting question. I'm sure that others also are asking the same thing. Eto, may isa pa, another different one from Chino Matela. How do you handle conflicting priorities among different stakeholders, especially when their needs and expectations are at odds? Ito, nag-aaway na yung stakeholders mo, while still ensuring progress and maintaining strong relationships. So not naman on leading people, but managing our stakeholders sa taas. Meron tayo niyan, Mitch.
Yes, madami. So, okay. So now that in a way, you have to be able to have a system as well. Like in my case, since I am handling a huge a diverse, we have diverse services as in the office of the CIO. I handle, for example, I handle enterprise architecture, we handle digital solutions, we deploy them, we maintain them, we have IT infrastructure, we have data science and data engineering, and we have cybersecurity initiatives. So we are doing a lot of things for Snap. And what we do at the beginning of the year is that since after we have this strategic planning, we have all the initiatives, but what we normally do, and we've done this in the first few months in like this year, we actually meet with all the leaders, and we actually present to them and ask them if we are able to capture all the requirements. And then we agree that these are the things that we have to work together for the year. And now that we are clear with what we need to do, we also have to make sure that we have put in place a framework, a project management framework, and we have to be we did a Lean Six Sigma way as well, because before that was actually our problem. Like, oh, there are a lot of requirements, and in fact changing requirements. And one project before the merong you agreed on the scope, and then in the middle of the project there are changing scope. So now we were able to devise a framework that we have to, there has to be, there is a process that we need to agree, and they have to and they have to honor the commitments or the scheduling that we actually agreed. So again, it's not straightforward. But there are a lot of frameworks out there. It's a matter of being able to have that discipline, and in Snap as well. So I'm just also proud that we've done a lot of initiatives like change management now. So we actually train our people on how to manage change, and people are aware that what to do first. For us, if we want our projects to be successful, we have to be mindful with how to manage change, because project management is just the technical part, but change is about how to manage the people side of change. So there, it's kind of no, sana hindi madami yung mga sinasabi ko, but I hope you are able to get the context of my answer, and I hope I was able to answer your question as well. I'm
So
glad
Chino,
daming
yeah,
question.
yeah. So Chino, I hope that will be able to help you on that part. Yeah. We have one. I hope you don't mind answering. Taking some more questions, everyone. Before we go to another activity, which is the raffle, because there are some additional questions here that are also good. No, might be good to know. From Carla, is there an event when you had to make a difficult leadership decision and how you used empathy to guide your approach?
Yeah, many times. Difficult decision. One of the difficult decisions that I made was actually asking a person to resign. Okay. So, and I have to be able to, I had, when I delivered that, when I had a one-on-one conversation with that person, I have to make sure that it is not about the, uh, I have to be able to be composed, like, because it's hard. I know it's hard, and I know how the person would be feeling. So yeah, I had to be able to use empathy, because I know that what I'm going to tell that person is something that it's hard. Asking somebody to resign is really hard. There's nothing, I think there's walang easy way to do that, but we have to do that in a manner that you can still keep the respect, keep the friendship, and keep the relationship. So I'm just glad that even after that event, uh uh and actually what happened is that I was able to actually support that person also to transfer to another group. So and then and I think that was one of the best, no, best thing that I was able to do, supporting that person to find another job. So yeah, I think that's one of the experiences that I have where I actually use empathy in making a hard decision.
Yeah. All right. So in the essence of time, thanks, Mitch. No, I hope Carla, Mitch was able to also answer your question. And then let's
Thank
take
you
the
for
last two questions. Welcome, Carla. Ayan. Let's take last two questions. I think we have last two questions before we close it off. If you do have any more questions, feel free to send us a message in PLC or to me if you're one of my invitees, so that we can help you patch it through. Last two questions. Becoming is from AJ Alejandro. Becoming self-aware, how did you change your communication style to better impact others and lead more effectively? And from Tim, as a leader, how do you unite a team? How do you unite a team that is divided in personal values and work habits and approach it to any situation? So unay natin yung kay AJ,
Yeah,
which is how do you change your communication style?
yeah. Now being self-aware, um, so I'll tell you parang a technique, no? So because I'm a coach, I have a pseudo coach as well. Like I have this me coaching myself. So I'm actually one of the number one customer of my coaching career. So I'm coaching myself. So every time, one of the things that I do is that sometimes you have, during the conversations, there are actually triggers. So it's important that you know what your triggers are, and then it's very, very important to pause. I haven't, I'm not 100%, I'm not 100% at it, but I'm getting there. So during those conversations, especially if that conversations are hard conversations, uh, I have to make sure that I pause, and my coach is starting to actually, I ask my coach, so what am I gonna do now? So I also learned this, that there are actually two voices. I'm not sure if you are hearing this, guys, but I'm hearing this two voice. There's the judgmental voice, and there's actually the voice of wisdom. So there's the voice of judgment and there's the voice of wisdom. And having this self-awareness thing, one of the things that I do exercise is continue to listen to my voice of wisdom. So I ask the voice of wisdom, what am I gonna do here? So it's very important to do that. And I think the most important thing, if to self-awareness, is you have to be able to practice it every day. And it starts with really taking care of yourself. Because if you start to develop yourself, like, look at what areas of your life need changing. Once you start being aware of yourself, it will be easier to be self-aware na, no, when you start leading others. So I always say, no, 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 I want to emphasize this again, that you can only lead others when you are able to lead yourself well. So make sure that before you start, influencing others, tingnan mo if you are actually doing it as well. So if you can effectively lead yourself, for sure you can effectively lead others. So I hope hindi na sa self-awareness, it goes back to being able to really lead yourself.
Yeah. Thanks, Mitch. I hope AJ, si Mitch was able to answer the question.
Definitely. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, AJ. And the last question is from Tim. As a leader, how do you unite a team that is divided in personal values, work habits, and approach to any situation? So ito yung may conflicting.
Uh-huh. Yeah. So I want to share lang this example. Just to give context, because there are actually several examples to that question, One example is leadership style. So I have this one of my direct reports, a manager who actually has his own style of leadership as well. And there was a conflict within the team, and I had to step in to make sure that we are able to resolve that, because I knew that there is a problem within the team. And that is where, no, when you have different way of leading, and how you are able to really build your influence to that person, and make sure that you're able to give that advice. But it's so hard, no? I Based from experience, it's so hard to give unsolicited advice to people. So normally, what I do is that meron akong caveat statement, like, because 'di ba, who would want to welcome an unsolicited advice, right? Like, even if I'm a leader, sabihin ko ganito kasi gawin mo. I stopped doing that. What I do is, I exactly no, sinasabi ko yang, can I have an unsolicited advice? And so that person will have to think about it. So it's not really easy, but you have to be able to navigate as well how to bring unity to the team. Um, wala siyang ano, no? Honestly, I'm also learning pa, no? On kung merong, if there will be something like that that will happen again in the future within my team. But right now, it's I start with me building my relationship with each of my team members kasi iba-iba sila. In fact, my level of effectiveness is iba-iba din per team. So I really learned to make sure that I continuously create and build my relationship with them. And once you build that trust, it will be easier for you to be able to at least influence that person. So I hope I'm able to answer your question as well.